All right, fellas, let's put this in the ether. You know you have to adapt to survive, right? Right? All these changes we're going through, all these miseries, all these headache, right? If you don't adapt to this BS, you're not gonna survive. Things will always change. Life will always change, right? In order to conquer a situation, you have to adapt to your environment. All right? You have to adapt to it. Sure, we can always run away from our problems, move elsewhere. But what if you can't move elsewhere? What if you can't go from one point A to point B? Right? You have to adapt, change your way of doing. Right? Stop spending too much money. Stop going out with the same people. Stop letting the woman fools you. Right? Stop being controlled by the people that you're with. Stop messing around with the wrong woman. You have to do something. It had to start at some point, right? You have to adapt to the situation and change your perspective, right? And go about things a different way, right? But no, people are out there, complaining, saying this is hard, I don't want to do this, I need somebody, try to find somebody, find a solution for them, try to find a scapegoat, right? Sometimes you can't find somebody to help you. Nobody's gonna help you, right? You have to help yourself, right? You cannot expect anybody to come out of nowhere and expect to rescue you, and that's what's wrong with most women out there. They expect other men to come out there just to help them out. Sure, they can do that. They have that aspiration, right? There will always be simps out there, right? But they don't understand that they have to adapt to situations, sacrifice a lot of things, and that's what most men are known for. We know how to sacrifice things. Men are natural survivors. We know how to adapt situations, right? If you could throw a guy, right? A half male, a guy who's in the right mindset. You throw him in the middle of the woods, right? He will come to his senses and somehow find a way to adapt to the situation. You can't say the same thing for women, right? So as men, we have to adapt to situations, right? If you don't adapt, you don't survive. If you don't work, you don't eat, right? You lose your job, right? Price getting expensive, right? You make certain cuts to adapt to situations, right? Sure, something you can't adapt to, like certain laws, right? Certain laws, right, that prevent you from doing things. You know what? You have to sacrifice something, right? Or get engaged with the situations to change something. But if you don't adapt, you're not gonna survive. It's what is it? Survival of the fittest. All right. Natural selections. What is natural selections? Right. They survive. They adapted to their environment and thrive. As men, we cannot live further on to the future if you don't thrive in the situation you're in right now. You gotta find a way to thrive and be stronger. Right. That's why I like to encourage men. You just can't be stagnant and stationary and not work out. You have to work out. The strongest person is usually the one who's most likely to achieve later on in life, most likely to live longer. You have to drive, man. You have to work out, right? Work out and better off yourself, better out your minds, change yourself, change for yourself, not for other people. Get in with the right people, not affiliate yourself with the wrong women, the wrong crowd. Learn new things, learn how people react, learn psychology, learn how women will most likely gonna use you and abuse you. Learn that friends will oftentimes take advantage of you. Know the reality things, know the facts, know the truth. Of sometimes you can't depend on your friends, you can only depend on yourself. Sometimes you can't depend on your family, you have to depend on yourself, right? Know all these key things. That's because those key things are the things that help you survive through tough times. Know what's necessary, know what's not necessary. Right? If price is going up for a certain kind of food, transition to something else until you are able to get through and get by. Right? If you're in financial debt, maybe you should cut back on certain kind of food, cut back on your coffee, eat rice and beans for a while until you can get back on your feet. Right? Adapt to your situations. Right? You know how during what the Sino-Chinese war, or Indo-China, war in China. You know how to survive all these war that happened in the continent of Asia. When they have all these famine, you know how they survive. I'm not telling you to do this, right? But I'm just telling you historical facts. You know how they survive when there's no food? They have to resort to other things, other means, eating insects, right? Find other vegetation that's edible and make it work, and by using different style of recipes, right? Back during famine time, the way people survive is that people are natural what? They're supposed to be eat what? Natural food, fruits and meat, right? During famine, those stuff wasn't easy accessible because fruits are seasonal, right? And meat, you have to hunt for that stuff, right? And what do? They find out other sources like grains. Humans are not made to eat grains like wheat, right? But we adapted by making wheat easily or edible for us to eat by grinding it up, mashing it right into flours, and then bake it and turn it into bread. Bread is actually a poor people's food. The only reason why people eat bread, right, is during famine because it's widely available, right? Grass could be grown in any surface, right? It produced in abundance. The kernel, right? It could be grinded up and feed to a lot of people, right? Because people are not made to grind up grass seeds all the time, right? So people adapt to their situations. Look at in China, right? Why do you think they eat all those nasty stuff, right? Rats, mouse, insects, and all that stuff? Because those were the only available protein sources that was available. So they adapted to the situations, right? But the thing is, they didn't transition out of it. They still, because they adapted to the situation, they carry on to their tradition. So that's why we see all their food are usually have all these exotic ingredients in it, right? But you have to learn how to adapt, because if you don't adapt, you're not going to survive, right? Men, when they get divorced, right? When they get financially destroyed, how do most men survive? They adapt to the situation. They have to transition themselves back to single life, right? And live the way they used to live. And at some point, they got better at it and know what they need and don't need. And fortunately, most of them got out of divorces and they survived. They survived their divorce, right? They lived to tell another day. They adapt to the situations, right? Because the marriages destroyed a lot of lives. It's a quick change in the man's life, right? So the man who survives their divorces are the men who know how to adapt to their situations. Homeless people, right? The reason why homeless people are still alive is the only homeless people that's still alive is the one that's able to adapt to their surroundings, to their elements. Right? You have to learn to adapt. Right? People who file for bankrupt and manage to get out of bankruptcy, right? They learn how to adapt to the situations, learn from their mistakes, and got better at it, and got themselves out of bankruptcies and thrive again in businesses that survive, right? That know how to make cuts in order for them to survive, right? So the point is, the video is that in order for men to make it out there and survive tough times, they have to learn to adapt. If you don't adapt, you're not going to survive. If you don't adapt, you're not going to eat. If you don't work, you're not going to eat. Right? So the people who take a lot of pride, who have a lot of pride in themselves, most in my opinion, most of the people will not survive because they're not willing to adapt to the situations, right? There's people that loses their job from a 6-figure income. Now they have to go back to the working class or whatever it is, right? And the pride is so high that they're not willing to work a lower wage job because the pride is so high. Like, okay, what's the outcome of that? All right, the outcome is that you can struggle even more, or you can find a lower paid job and just work that for right now till you get back on your feet, right? But no, most people people out there have too much pride in themselves. They're not gonna come down and work a lower wage job, right? Most women out there, right, that will not adjust. Right? There's lonely, right? They will not adjust to dating. Lower the standard for a man. All right, you're not gonna lower the standard for a man. You're gonna be single for the rest of your life, right? You need to adapt. If you don't want to be single, and the only men that you can only get are lower than you because your standard is so high, right? You're not gonna find a man. You're gonna be lonely forever. Women have this inability to adapt to their environment. When they don't have this ability to adapt, then most likely they won't survive. How often do you see you see it all the time. A homeless woman. I was about to use homeless woman, but there's a lot of homeless women out there. But how often do you see, right, a woman complaining that they can't find men and they're struggling in their life, right? If that's the case, a lot of women struggling. What's the outcome if you can't afford rent? The outcome is they might go homeless. But no, I see the reason why I don't see it that much is because women have a lot of safety net, right? The government have a lot of safety net to prevent women from being homeless. But again, men don't have that safety net. That's why there's a lot of men homeless out there than it is compared to women homeless. Because women, I know the reason why. They have a safety net. Men don't have a safety net. For men to survive, they have to learn to adapt. Because men know we don't have a safety net. But that's how I feel about what's going on right now, right? That a lot of men, if you're struggling, right? If you're struggling, you gotta learn how to adapt to your environment, right? So if that's the way for you to survive, by all means, do it for right now. You can get back on your feet. I'll move if I have to. I'll move into the ghetto and live in the ghetto and just grind it out there until I can make it out there. All right, I'll move into a studio apartment in the ghetto and just grind it. That's it to survive. You have to do what you gotta do. Don't be ashamed. You're trying to survive. Don't care what anybody thinks. What you have to do. All right. But on that note, guys, the point of this video, I just want to tell guys, if you're struggling out there, you gotta make some certain kind of changes and learn how to adapt to your environment, right? And push hard on it. Because if you're not gonna adapt to your environment, you're not gonna survive, right? But on that note, guys, let me know what you think. Did you agree or disagree with what I'm saying? If you disagree, let me know. If you agree, let me know. But if you find any enjoyment from my videos and want to support my videos, like, share, subscribe. And on that note, guys, as always, peace and blessings.